what was I thinking going live with this thing? Well, why not? Let's record it and see what happens. Everything else, I don't know. Hey guys, for those who are watching, listening, GoProing, all this crap, welcome. Mind Unleashed, episode 43. Woo! What am I planning on doing this? Pretty tired. And, sorry about that. And Twitter just opened up. I got a tweet. Episode 43. Sorry. Anyway. I wanted to talk about last week's episode, and if you guys haven't caught that episode, it was pretty badass, pretty fun. Talked about some gaming and stuff like that with an awesome coworker, Del Marie. We talked about some pretty cool stuff. It was really, really cool. If you guys haven't checked it out, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I have notes here, so I'm going to read those for a little bit. For those of you who have never listened to the podcast or seen it live, this is what I like to do on a weekly basis, talk about nerdy, chatty, 3D printing stuff. And to be honest, I think nobody listens. I checked my analytics the other day and it was over 2,200 downloads. Pretty scary. Yeah. Pretty scary when you look at it and you're like, nobody listens to this. And you go, wait a minute. 2,200, shit. And I'm pretty sure it was more than that. Last year I started the podcast, so this is the almost second year of doing these quality. Hello, Uncle Joe. No, thank you, Justine. So I wanted to talk about last week's episode for those who haven't listened. It was a fun one. We really got to nerd out with some friends, stuff like that. I got a few more friends lined up. It's just getting their schedules in order. I know Maurice, if you are watching, all the way from the Netherlands, we still need to get part 2 done. So whatever we're doing, we're trying to get each other on the time zone. I know we've been trying to get to part 2 of Terminator 2 closing down and do a deep dive into that. So that's a shout out to you. And then Ben, if you're watching too, because we've been trying to get you on the podcast to talk about your TED Talk and stuff like that. It's been kind of rough, but I also have another friend I'm trying to get on, Dakota, you two, trying to get you on. But it was really fun to deep dive last week into nerdom, geekdom, stuff like that. Talk about games and just, what Del Marie's been up to, what she's been doing with the voltronpets.tumblr.com. So check that out. That's the Mac Pro Bono magazine she's been working on. What I've been doing with that, I also wanted to talk about some 3D printing with that. I ended up doing, if you do order the magazine, if you want to donate, check out voltronpets.tumblr.com. I may be working with them, I'm not sure. I did a little pro bono kind of test. Tim, my hair is awesome. Kind of a project to see. I did like what they call elliptophane to take their logo and then turn it into a 3D print. And so far, they seem to like it. It might be going into a project, might be in a bundle package for them. So we'll see. We just gotta get gotta send her over to the prints, see what they think. I guess the person who made the logo, because they were like, hey, we didn't know if this logo would actually work, or something like that. It seemed to work, and then putting it into 3D, it was pretty interesting how I actually was able to get it to print, and they seemed pretty happy about that. So it's pretty cool to turn a image into a 3D print and make it work presentable. Hello, Adi, how are you? But that's what I've been working on with her. Gonna be dropping those prints off tomorrow. Got the MacBook up right now, working on getting that done with a new SSD and that, because that does all the podcast work. What else do I want to talk about? Crap. I wrote a lot of crap down. A lot of MegaCon. Oh, nope. There's my notes. Never be prepared on the podcast, ever. How you doing? Alright, there we go. Another fun thing I wanted to talk about, the 3D printing stuff that I do. So, a friend of mine that got locked in, he did a 10-hour print yesterday, and he really got screwed over with not making sure the settings are correct. Now, I'm not sure if that's Simplified 3D's problem, but I know if you're doing a lot of 3D printing under Simplified 3D, the one thing I would definitely do is always make sure before you send yourself out to the slicer, is check your heating settings. I don't know what it likes to do in the controller, but check your heat settings and make sure that everything is pretty much good to go. Simplified, I'm still going to push it to this day. It's a great freaking slicer. It really helps break down the printing process, especially for a lot of makers, designers such as myself, to get the job done. I mean, you're not wasting a lot of time on material cost, trying to get stuff out to cosplayers and, wherever you may be. It really speeds up the time there, but I wanted to throw a quick tip and trip out for that for those who are having issues. And I'm not sure Simplify is going to put it in there, but when you look at it carefully, go into your profile and then definitely check to make sure the settings have not switched. When you close out Simplified 3D, it's a web-based slicer, so it knows that, hey, you own the license to this, yada yada, but it's for some reason it likes to change its settings every time you close the program. And a friend of mine, I've been trying to fill him in on that. He's a makeup artist, good friend of mine. He'll be doing Horror Nights this year. And he's been, yesterday, I just saw that pop up in my feed, and I'm like, oh, 10-hour print failed because I didn't check settings. I'm like, oh, crap, well, kind of could have told you that, any kind of advice I could kind of give on that subject, would help anybody. But I really love Simplified 3D. I think you guys should take the trial if you're getting into 3D printing, or for those makers that are like, I use Cura, I don't really want to get into Simplified, it's a few extra bucks, and I don't want to spend that kind of money. My brother's reading my brother's quote in the bottom here. But yeah, if you're doing Simplified 3D, definitely spend the money. If you're getting a making building, I'm doing a lot of prints for friends. I have another one coming up. A friend of mine wants me to build a helmet for Magneto. I did find a model that looked pretty presentable. Still waiting for your measurements, Sorrel. So get your shit together, and maybe we can get something worked out. Also, we wanted to get into a new idea, a new thing that we wanted to do since we did the last podcast with Don Marie, and we really talked about gaming and just in general what Open Mind was and what it is for geeks and gamers and people just to get out of their minds and just play and have fun. We're looking at doing a gaming division of Open Mind, and it's going to go forward. I talked about it about a year ago with Mike, and who did our logo, multimedia. He helps me with a lot of the computer stuff like that. Huge friend. Helped us get our logo and stuff like that all taken care of. So it's, usually on shirts or business cards, stuff like that. And, it's really cool to be a legit, business, stuff like that. And we are registered in USPTO as our name. So it's pretty cool that was able to get that done. Everything moving slowly but surely, but everybody's cool. They like seeing us do the podcast and me talking about some cool stuff. But, what we wanted to do, and I was talking with Del Marie, is, kind of an idea of doing a gaming division. And Mike goes, well, why do you want to do that too? I said, well, I like video games for my life. They really make me relax, chill. I like to try new things. But at the same time, when you're working on, your business, it's kind of fun to have sit down time and kind of meet some of the people. You meet a lot of people that are stressed out, bummed out. They don't really have an outlet, but in video games become their outlet. It becomes their soul. They get to meet people. People don't really get out and talk to anybody. They're on antisocial, or, it's just hard to get out and meet someone face to face. So I kind of wanted to do a fun channel of playing games that I've never played with her and a few of my other friends, and talk about that stuff and geekdom, and maybe add a few more stuff to the podcast, weekly, if we could talk about, game developers, designers, just an all-around fun Patreon. I'm going to be throwing special things up there, so if you do pay for the Patreon, it will not be on YouTube. It will not be on Twitch. It will be there directly, and we'll be splitting the funds, and developing more content for you guys. But that's something we really want to do. And I said, you know what? Del Marie goes, well, you haven't played this game, okay? You haven't played that game. All right. She goes, well, we're going to break that mold. On to that, we do a lot of share play, which unfortunately we're not able to share a lot of our game videos, so what I ended up doing is picking up a recorder that's going to be able to do a lot of the chat and audio, so we can do a lot of the video and facial as we're, playing a game or walking me through it or something like that. Not a big horror fan, but I still have like Evil Within, which I still need to play, which is probably one of the most scariest games. PT, if you haven't played PT for the PS4, I think it's back up on the hub. I know they took it down, then they put it back up. And Death Standing from Hideo Kojima, Metal Gear Solid. That game looks freaking outstanding. We were talking about that in the last podcast. So listen to that podcast because it was freaking amazing. It was just like geeking about video games and kind of getting to our own brains and picking each other's brains about geekdom and nerdom, and things that we like. And so it kind of gave me the idea. It's like it's time to make a division for gamers and meet people and kind of get people out of their shell and talk about, development. If you guys are wondering what that is, it's the microphone. Everybody's like, what's that? It's the microphone. because I'm recording on a recorder for the audio podcast. But it's good to meet people, and like, I meet people that are like, hey, what do you do for your business? What do you guys R&D? And then I'm talking to people about the crutches and stuff like that, what the game plan is, and what we're doing. At the same time, I like to have fun. I like to learn new things, and I got a few 3D printing ideas for those with disabilities, for the controllers and stuff like that. I've been working with a company, not a company, but a big, huge hub in Paris, France. And what they're doing is it's all pro bono, and we have time and effort. A lot of the designers and makers will make certain devices for those in need. Say if you have finger issues or you have something like that, they kind of look at it, do that, and you kind of send a thing, and you're like, hey, I need something for my hand. My finger's not really doing well. I was looking at a glove the other day that they were designing out of not Ninja Flex, but a TPU filament, which is a flexible filament. And it's been about a 3-week design period for this guy who I think he lost right here. So they're like making a glove to where it makes an actual finger, so he actually has grip and stuff like that. Kind of looks pretty spongy and sticky. It's pretty interesting. I've been taking a gander at that. And then some guy took servo motors from a 3D printer, and he actually made a door open and close. So he's been trying to make an Arduino. For those who don't know, that's a controller board that runs usually a 3D printer. You can easily modify it and code it to what you want it to do, to open up doors and close doors for people with like wheelchairs, etc. But he made it actually for his doggy doors, which is pretty badass. So I kind of gave a thumbs up. Thank goodness for Facebook actually being able to translate, French into English, so I'm able to kind of correspond back and forth. The group's really fun. I was able to donate a little bit of my time and my efforts, and what I can. I'm not, like I said, I'm not overly qualified, but I'm working on a few things for myself, crutches and stuff like that. Still learning my CAD, still learning my ZBrush and stuff like that. But it's it's been fun because I've really been wanting to just kind of get people out of their zone. It's kind of fun interviewing people and having fun. And I think the Patreon with the gaming division is going to be a freaking blast. It's going to be fun to just do fun. Get out of my head when I'm not doing this, working on 3D printing and kind of taking a break. Because when you're 3D modeling, it can take up to hours of modeling an image or a photo or a model that you need to get it into the printer and get it to run. And it's a lot of R&D work. So you're constantly taking notes, writing down stuff. And you could be in the office for about a good 6-7 hours, and you've only designed a little piece of something that's going to help someone out, or you think you have it right, but the measurement might be off. So gaming for me, when I get to get out of the office just for a little bit away from the computers and what I'm working on, it's a big thing I like to do. It clears my brain, and I get to thank God for Mike and a few other of my friends. Don't worry, and a lot of other gamers that I have, they all jump out and go, hey, it's time to hop off, and you need to take a quick break. I'm constantly building at work, constantly taking my laptop somewhere, and constantly trying to fix ideas that I have. Like I said, with my coworker Jodelle, working on her grip took me about like 2 weeks of just constantly testing, finding the right balance between the infill and how it's going to work for her and stuff like that. So it takes time, and it was good to kind of like, as something's printing, because I got something printing right now. It's a little keychain for somebody, which I will post Instagram. I think you'll like the joke with her. It's good to take a little break from that, because you're watching something print and you're like, okay, it's printing fine, I can just take a quick break and just spend time with friends and kind of clear my mind and then kind of meet new people. And it's like, what do you do? What do you do? So I feel like the Patreon gaming side of it's going to be really fun. It's not only be about that. We're going to have some 3D printing ads. I wanted to make a hub where we can meet up with a few people, but kind of get out of my own zone and try new things, new games that I haven't tried, reactions, stuff like that, and kind of discuss how the game was made, maybe developed, and stuff like that. So kind of like a new kind of web series when we're working on this, but at the same time, I'm going to find new things that disabled gamers can actually play, and maybe, somebody who has... I know the Tetris game is coming out, and they made a little big, huge statement about that for people who are anxiety. They said it actually calms them down. This new Tetris... forget the new Tetris experience, or whatever it may call. You can play it in PlayStation VR, and you can also play it on the PS4. Just the way the game's built and designed, it's said that people start relaxing, their heart rate goes down. And I was like, that's kind of interesting for people with anxiety. So that's one game that they're kind of pushing from their developers. Like, this game really helps you relax, and people were... It's a trailer. I'll try to post a link to what the trailer would say. It's stating, people with eye movement or motion or muscle fatigue, they start playing with the controller and they start learning new stuff. And there's a few 3D prints I want to try for the thumbsticks and stuff like that. Because I saw one guy who only was able to play with one hand, and he actually didn't modify his actual controller, but he used his hand a different way to hit the thumbsticks, hit all the D-pads and stuff like that. I thought it was a really, really cool thing. But yeah, so what I'll be doing in the coming week is we'll be doing more of that, getting the Patreon more built up. We want to do a lot of content and make sure people, when they pay for it, you get what you get. And you're not going to be like, oh, wow, I just spent $1 because of blah. No, you're spending $1 because we're developing content. I'm going to be putting some 3D printing how-to guides, really dipping some deep stuff on there. There'll be stuff on our Open Mind site too, but I want to make sure my friends, when they all join as contributors, they're all getting a little something out of it too, because I'm looking forward to this. It's gonna be fun. I want to do something fun as I'm doing the 3D printing stuff, because you can only build so much stuff and test and test and test when you need to take a break yourself. So that seems like it's gonna be a good outlet for me. How much time is on the clock here? I'm looking over at my recorder. 16 minutes. Okay. Oh man, I forgot to give a few shouts to my supporters. Crap. If you guys want to use these codes, feel free. Lyft code is going to be TMUP for $20 off your first 5 rides with Lyft. Doesn't matter where you are. If you're new, it will give you a few bucks off. Please check out Whis Productions. Whis Productions is a local Whis Productions is a cinematography company. He does weddings, special occasions, all those corporate events. He's been doing a lot of weddings. Amazing, amazing photographer. He's giving you guys 20% off when you book your next project with him. Use our code OMI. It's going to be also on our company page, Open Mind Industries. So click on our link there. Also, check out Daniel Weisenberg at CAS, Cinematic Aerial Services. What Daniel's been doing is he's been going around the properties. He does a lot of real estate shoots, a lot of photo touch-ups on the property to help get your photos and your videography of your property done correctly. Amazing work. He's offering you guys $179 per property. Not a bad deal. Look him up. Check out that. Not a bad deal. I don't see what's stopping you, especially if you're a real estate agent. Also, I want you guys to check out Strauman Law if you need branding or trademarking done. Strauman hooked us up. He's based out of Colorado. He used to go here to UCF in Central Florida. He hooked us up with Trademark, got that all taken care of. So thank you to Strauman for helping us out with that. And I also want to check out Angie Connors. Angie Connors hooked up with our real estate agent. She has been really awesome, gracious, and a good friend of ours, helping us out with the house. Still a little bit longer than we thought. Wonder wanting and all that. But yeah, my final closing thoughts, because I only want to do a short podcast. Last week's episode was really fun. It was good to sit down with a friend and really break into the geekdom, nerdom, stuff like that, and talk about MegaCon and how we got into gaming and what it meant to both of us, and kind of talk about Voltron, because I've now started to get into this freaking Voltron. Now I'm like on this little binge of like catching on to the show. That was like the Punisher. I got into the Punisher. I watched every freaking episode, loved the hell out of it. And then my buddy Trent Ward, so we're at the MegaCon. He was like, "Oh, you're a fan of Punisher?" I was like, "Yeah, I like the show a lot." And then one night we went out for dinner, and he was like, "Oh," reached in the back of the seat, and he's like, "Oh, I got you something." And he ended up getting me a Punisher doll, which I thought was really cool. And I was like, "Whoa, that's awesome." So I actually have that on my stand. It's pretty cool. So thanks, Trent, for that. But yeah, it was really fun sitting down last week and sitting with friends and just kind of helping them kind of just like relax. Sadly, all my friends that do the podcast, they don't like listening to their own voices. I even told her today, "Did you listen to the podcast yet?" "No, I don't like to listen to my own voice. Kind of feels weird." "You sound fine. I'm the one who's going to listen to the audio. I'm the one who's going to edit the audio. So you guys get to sit back and relax. I'm the one who's going to go in and edit the audio and change the audio." The one thing I did learn, I had a boo-boo with last week's podcast. So the audio came out fine because I did a screen capture from the MacBook. The problem is the audio was going into my Zoom H4n Pro, and I literally had to sync the video and audio. I thought I would never get that done. And luckily something fell on the last podcast. You'll have to listen to that podcast to see what I'm talking about. Something fell, and it literally went by, and I'm like, "Oh, I think something fell here." So I was able to sync the audio and the video up to that. I was like, whew, man, that took a while. So something I thought that was going to take only like an hour took me like 2 hours. Just to I had to use my old, filmography, skills, stuff like that. But I think it's going to be a fun week. I just want to get this podcast out here because our Lipson account is almost full for the month, and then I got to repay it, and it gives me my megabytes back. You add more, you pay more, and it gives you more room, and it keeps it syndicated for you, and it's awesome. Like I said, shocking that we have almost 2,200 listeners, 2,200 downloads, sorry, of our episodes. It's crazy, and I barely talk about anything. But, yeah, my final closing thoughts for the week, it's, be good to yourself, love yourself, try something new. Life is crazy, it's gonna happen. I mean, I do these weekly, and surprised people listen, so I must be doing something right. But I wanted to do something kind of fun for the week. Like I said, I really enjoyed last week's episode, so I just wanted to talk about what I had this week. So, like I said, we're going to be doing some video game recordings. We're going to be having some fun. I can't wait to get scared off my ass on some of these games. I did download one game called Sona? I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I don't know what the hell it is. Downloaded it, it was on sale. Took her to Elmer Music Vice, and I haven't fired it up yet, so I'm not going to fire it up. But the cool thing is, I cannot wait to sit down and play the rest of Detroit Become Human with her, because we went on a tangent the other day, and it was freaking outstanding. And David Cage, I think you got an enemy. Really, she hates the control system. But we went on a tangent about one of the characters. Should he live? Should he die? And we really broke down the characters. So I keep trying not to spoil the game for her. Because David Cage is David Cage, and he's, if you played, Detroit, if you played anything from Heavy Rain, anything from Beyond Two Souls, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. David Cage, he's just David Cage, but the game in general is good. It's gonna be a fun time. So when the recorder does come, should be coming around Friday. We should get everything set up and then get you guys to see some live stuff. Hopefully we'll have Patreon all set up. I'll get my friends together and we'll start collaborating and give you guys some awesome content. Alright, I think I'm going to sign off because I've just been rambling on and blabbling on, but I just wanted to make a short, sweet podcast, and that's all a podcast is. If anybody wants to be on the podcast, talk about some really awesome stuff, let me know. Hit me up at openmindindustries@gmail.com. Check out openmindindustries.com, and also, check out voltronpets.tumblr.com. Check out Delmarie, because and what Rec Crew's been working on, because they're working their asses off. They're trying to get the magazine out by Christmas, I believe. Christmas, late January, I think. Late January, she said. So check it out. Do it up. I will probably be doing a little, like I said, 3D printed package, little trinket for them, and I can't wait to be working on that. So anyway, keep an open mind, guys. Have a great week, and I'll be adding more of these soon. See ya.